The recording,
I started the recording now, Bill.
and I'm calling the meeting to order because we do have a quorum, which is great. Okay, so the minutes were posted. Does anybody have any comments or additions or corrections to the minutes of December 10th, 2000? Yes.
I am so thankful that Barbara Tingley is
These are
our
great
new
minutes,
clerk.
yeah.
And that I don't have to do it anymore.
Oh, yeah.
She did a fabulous job.
High on the scale in this town, that's great.
Yeah, so,
I move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Second,
So
Henry.
we
Okay.
trade off at this point. right?
Well, no, Woody can also,
Woody, that's right.
yes,
I agree.
okay,
I second
all
it.
right. Since
I
Bill's
think
here, I'm
you're
gonna
on
let,
mute, Woody, are you on mute?
no,
He's not?
I don't think so.
Okay.
when you said,
We can hear you, right?
Are
Woody, are
you talking
you?
to me?
Yeah, okay, we can hear you.
say all of you.
Oh, all in favor of the
Aye.
minutes?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Okay, the Baldwin Hill property. Bill, do you want to just give a brief update about that?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what it was, but we've got obtained the zoning permit for it. We have, I'm working on getting the building permit. What else on that? We've got the financing, the grant is all been done and not completed, but we've got it, and the $250,000 construction loan is going to be there. And then tomorrow night at our housing trust meeting, that we will pass a resolution that will allow me or Ted Bennett to go and sign all the paperwork. So we're waiting to close on the money. We're waiting to hear from the contractor for the site work.
Still haven't,
Yeah, he's been doing the ones in Cornwall. And he's from Cornwall, so the deal was that he would have, because he's their guy, that he
Yeah,
would do theirs
right.
first, so I think. Lindsay was going, I think, you heard.
well, I was at that meeting,
Yeah,
yes.
Lindsay is going to call him again, I've left the message for him, so. Once he gets ready to do the site work, then we can. We gotta close the mortgage. And then we're ready to go.
Okay, and then,
Can I ask you a quick question? When a bank does a mortgage for you as a nonprofit
Right,
and it's an affordable housing, do they get a tax break as well?
I don't know what.
I bet.
Well, I know when I was a banker, when we did CRA type of loan,
Right,
we got a tax break.
yeah, I'm not sure.
But this isn't a CRA loan, I don't think.
No, it's just a straight construction loan.
So,
In other words, it'll be paid off when we sell the house. And we did on the Vincent Farm ones, we did construction loans with the Litchfield Bancorp. And then when we sold them, we paid them off, so it was just a short-term loan.
Well, aren't these loans though with a sort of pseudo what capital for change? Or
Right,
something?
so what happened was the Department of Housing didn't want to do one-off, one-off things. They wanted to do groups, large groups. So they put together, us with a group in Cornwall, Norfolk, Warren. There's nine houses. So, and then they gave the money that were going to give us, they gave to Capital for Change, which is another nonprofit, but let them do all the paperwork, so that they could focus on big projects in the state. So essentially,
That's not where the construction loan.
it's coming from Capital for Change,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But the housing department or Department of Housing's funding, all the grants.
okay. Okay, so then the Wickham property is being worked on there, correct?
Yes.
And they've been paid for their work, correct?
Yes, so thank you for the $23,500. Thank the town for the ARPA money, which is to be used for both projects. The engineering firm was up there this week doing test pits and percolation tests. And so once all that work is done, I'm hoping by at the end of February, we should have some, things we can work with in terms of the number of units that can be supported by a septic, et cetera, so.
And also they were looking into something about the water, correct?
Yes,
The water
they-
company,
Yeah, so if a public water supply company goes by your property, you are not allowed to drill a well. So the question becomes, whether, they have to, essentially, they filed an application for availability of water.
Right.
So, they'll get something back from Aquarian as to, how much they would have so that we can plan.
so if they don't have enough water or they don't want to, share that water,
That,
then can the
Then-
wells be dug?
right, then we can drill wells. The good part of not having to drill wells is that you have to have a 75-foot area around the well
Right,
diameter that you can't put anything in. It has to be far away from the septic.
Right.
So if we can get the public water supply, then it gives us
Make
more
it-
room for the
right.
septic. And more area for the
Oh,
septic.
and the cost isn't a problem. And it's a trustworthy water supply,
The Aquarian?
yeah.
Well, I don't know, how healthy do I look? I've been drinking it for 50 years. So
They
I
supply
have
all
a
of the
few ticks,
green.
I
They
tend to
don't.
digress a lot, but other than that, I think the water's okay, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it meets all the funny thing was when it was the Judea Water Company, which was founded in the 1890s. By the time I got in 1975, when I moved there, there were mild problems with mice in the reservoir and, other things that were not real good for drinking water, but I survived.
Maybe that's where the head is.
I'll tell you
Oh,
what,
geez.
Charlie, but think about it, the whole body was there. It wasn't, and the irony of it is that the Bellingers.
we probably shouldn't be discussing this during this
Barbara,
recording.
The whole
That conversation.
Bellinger family that lived here for a zillion years, they're all buried in the cemetery and they were all cremated. He died in a fire, but they buried his body. It's like, think about that, the irony.
Okay, okay, is there any questions or information about the Wickham property? Anybody wants to share? Okay. So the next one is the update on requesting the Board of Selectmen to call a town meeting. I happened to see, Marion Green. I said, I was wondering if this is happening. She thought maybe they were gonna try and wait to have a number of things go on the agenda so that, you don't have to have the townspeople come out so often for it. But we don't need that disperse that money right now anyway, right? Do we have any
Yeah,
needs
we
right
have-
now?
Yeah, we have sufficient funds to complete the engineering at
Right.
Wickham, and I believe that with the ARPA money, that should be sufficient to do most of the site work.
Right.
All of them. So I think that.
I asked Jim and he said he had a few things he was waiting on, so probably March is what he
Okay.
was thinking.
All right,
I don't think we need to anything.
okay. I mean, it's
But
not,
he did say too that he was willing, if it's needed, he'll call it sooner just for that one
that's
topic.
great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I have the report on the most recent meeting, but we didn't have you didn't have the Washington Community Housing Trust meeting. That happens tomorrow, right?
Right, we're doing that. tomorrow.
Okay, so we
Right.
can't report on that. I called, Janet Hill, who's chairman of the zoning commission, about the multifamily regs, because they are not published. We worked really
Yeah.
hard on those, and they, I don't know whether even people know that they exist.
They don't.
I know,
People I've talked to don't
and
know.
so,
No, they're not available yet.
No.
I've been watching, like every month I look for them, because I have a couple people waiting for them. They want-
right. So
She said,
she said, she was gonna call, Shelley. So she called Shelley, and Shelley said for some reason they couldn't be done because of something to do with technology. So she was gonna follow up on that. Yeah, but I, you know, and as far as that's concerned, I think we also should have something in the news, you know, if we're gonna do this newsletter that Ted Bent wants to do, and were you gonna work on it with him?
No, my son was.
Okay.
And they've been working on it, except my son's had this terrible flu and he hasn't been able to meet with Ted
Oh, dear,
over the last several weeks.
yeah. Okay, well,
Did Janet indicate if she had a clean copy of them?
she said she was gonna send me one.
Okay,
Yeah,
because we can put that on the housing website until they figure, because,
Yeah.
you know, they might not be able to incorporate it yet into the zoning regs
I mean, are
as
they
they stand.
intentionally not publishing it? Is that it?
are they purposely not?
Yeah.
I don't think purposely, I think it's just apathy or
Well,
something.
I do, the new reg, they just went to a new platform for the regulations, and now they're searchable, and it's really cool, but it's very different.
Oh,
And I don't know if they have the admin rights to it yet, or if they know how to use it, and they've had some staffing changes, so they might just not know. I don't know,
Mhm.
you know, but it's a very new system that they're working on.
that's great.
It is good,
Yeah.
it is good. Because before it was just a PDF and you just scroll through, right? And try to find it. But yeah, but if we could get a clean copy,
Okay,
I would
'cause I
put it
think-
on the website.
On the
And I can
website,
forward
and
it.
I think it should be something like it's in the newsletter or somehow other have to get that out there so that maybe there might be some developers that might want to do it that don't have no awareness of the fact that it's possible,
Yeah,
you know?
and there are actually properties out there that. Particularly the old Wickham Rise School property, that would be a very.
Yeah.
Better alternative than what's already been approved.
Yes, so I think we need to do, you know, some significant publicity about that.
Mhm.
So she said that she was gonna send me a copy of it.
Great.
You know,
You'll
she
forward
hasn't,
it to me when you get that.
I will definitely forward it to you.
Where
and then
would
we-
you publish it? The article, you don't have to say, like in the Newtown Times or local papers like that? New Milford Times and.
We can put it on the town's website.
Yeah, well, and in the town's newsletter, the quarterly, plus
Plus,
the
and
housing
you guys
trust
do.
is,
Yeah,
yeah,
right, Ted's gonna
Ted's newsletter.
put that together.
That's just gonna go to the town and.
Yeah, but yeah, if something wider, maybe like Waterbury Republican, or at least alert people to the fact that it exists.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, could you
yeah,
do a
that
press
needs to
release
go
or
to a
something?
bigger-
Yeah,
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
that's-
press release is a great idea.
I can offer to do the press release at the press outlets. That's an area I'm strong, not in the actual writing, but in the press release.
But in the what?
press release.
Oh,
I can
Oh, she doesn't know
offer
what
to
to
be the gal who
gets it out
researches
there.
the, yeah, exactly. Yep.
Awesome.
And measures it, makes sure that it gets published. The actual writing, I don't think I want to do that. I would want to be sure that it's precisely what you want it, what to be said. And once you have the press release, I have a list of news editors, and I can verify that they're still in their space and place, and the paper's still up in online outlets as well.
Okay,
That'd be
Well,
fantastic.
thank you, Sarah.
You would want to clear
Mhm.
the press release though with the.
Absolutely. Board of Selectmen or whomever. Yes.
Zoning.
The zoning, sorry.
Zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it
Oh, yeah.
should come from the zoning commission, rather, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We could write it.
I mean, the other
But-
problem is that we're in essentially a newspaper desert, the Voices is gone, Waterbury doesn't cover us.
I
don't
know.
think New Milford does, so that, it's almost that, like, you know, hopefully most people have access to a computer, they can, you know, you can get all the information, you know, from the town website and all the commissions and everything. And then
You
you've got
have
the
to know
town
it.
newsletter, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe the town wants to up the newsletter from quarterly, you know, you know, maybe on a different basis to get more information out, that it just gets sent out to everyone. I mean, I saw something,
The Selectmen's e-news is really helpful too. The Selectmen's e-newsletter every Friday at 4
Right.
So
That's for taxpayers.
The zoning is for general multifamily, right? It's not specifically for affordable housing multifamily.
No, it
Right.
isn't, but
So
multi,
that's a different kettle of fish than.
it is, but on the other hand, multifamily has more potential to be
No, I
affordable
understand
than
that. I'm just saying
single
that in
family.
terms of sort of taking it by the reins. May be inappropriate for us to do that if it's
Hmm.
not a specifically affordable housing zoning regulation.
Well,
I think our affordable housing plan talks about middle housing and the need for seniors, places for seniors to downsize.
Okay,
Capital A affordable and small A affordable.
Yeah, and the zoning regulations right now allow a nonprofit and the town of Washington to create multifamily housing.
yes,
So this new regulation essentially is allowing multifamily housing to be done by a
right,
for-profit
yeah,
developer.
okay.
which I could definitely benefit people in town or people that want to come to town.
To build condos like Beebrook
Yeah.
or
Right.
Quarry Ridge.
Yeah.
Because those haven't been done since whatever,
Since
the
then.
80s or 90s.
Well,
yeah.
since the multi-family regulations were erased,
And the last time they were there was 1984.
something like that, yeah.
How did they get erased? You stayed in the office?
No, I don't think, they must, I wasn't aware of it at the time, but apparently it was, were you aware of it, Bill?
Yeah, Jenna has actually come to our meetings.
No, I mean, were you aware of it when they took out the multifamily?
Yeah, so what happened was is that after Beaver was built in the early 70s, they and then in 1980, 82, 83, John Allen was chairman of the zoning commission and, recognized that the town needed to have, apartments, condominiums, multifamily housing. So they put in a regulation that allowed multifamily housing
For the,
1,000 feet on either side of Route 202. And so there were two projects. One was Quarry Ridge and the other was the Memphis, and that was the project that represented the owner. So that was approved for 111 condominiums. But then once they approved that, they felt like between the two that were approved, that was enough units. And then they removed the regulation, but then, of course, the macrocosmos, ended up being, he donated most of it. So the only ones who were ever built were Quarry Ridge.
right, okay,
But so the need that was perceived back in 1982, 3, 4, really never was met because the 111 condominiums never been built.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
all right, we did another update on our plan,
Hopefully the numbers are right this time. So I went through.
okay,
Yeah.
yes.
And I made a couple of the edits that we had talked about at the meeting that you hadn't done, but you would put in the new numbers, the 332, which was correct.
Okay.
And I made a couple copies. I didn't think we were gonna talk about it. I put it on the website.
Okay,
I was like, it's there. I can change it if we want to. The 49 was correct. Where did you have that?
God, now you're gonna.
Well, here, I didn't even find that in the plan. So the
The
last.
website, that was for partnerships for storm.
Yeah, and I went to them to try to find the numbers and then I got working on something else. The number that I have from the state list is 45.
So this was an interactive, so you went through town by town.
Yeah, I pulled up Washington
Yeah.
and I was going through reporting 49, but you have that number here.
Yeah.
where is it?
Oh, wait.
Where's that number in here?
Oh, it's on the cover sheet, the cover page.
How did I miss that?
Where is it? I just saw it 10 seconds ago.
49 affordable housing.
The last sentence. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Okay, I think I'll double check, but, the last expectation that I had, because I have some more deeds to send to them as Habitat keeps building. Last I knew it was 45, but people can get a CHFA or a USDA mortgage without me knowing. And so every year, the state prints a new list for the affordable appeals number. So 45, 49, right? It's in the ballpark. I think when the plan was written though, I have to look back, we had 44. And we did talk about wanting to benchmark that so that we can see, any progress we're making with.
I lost, is this 45 number the number of affordable units we have in town?
Yeah,
Beyond home ownership.
it's rentals and homeownership, and they're almost all but from the trust. It's the 3 big rental things, the Vincent.
We have like 37 multifamily and then we have the 3, the houses in Vincent Front, so that's like 40.
Right, and then there are a couple of CHFA mortgages out there.
Right.
One of the Vincent ones, when I was last reviewing the list, isn't there. So I need to send that again. Maybe maybe the last sale was after the last update. So I have a big stack. I'm working on
Yeah.
that right now. And none of the habitats are there. Oh, no, some of the original Myfield homes are there, but not the habitat ones.
The Myfield ones are restricted,
Yeah,
but the ones
but
after.
those deeds had never been turned in until I turned them in a couple of years.
Yeah,
Like
the
2 years
habitat
ago.
are, they're on the.
Yeah,
And I think that also on some of those senior housing on Ritter.
Yep, that's the trust.
You're on.
That's in there 37.
But it should be actually 4. I did that, we used 830G for that, I think, and that was 4 of the units had to be, at 80% area, no, half of them had to be, I think 2 of them are at 60% AMI, 2 at 80, so there's 4 there, so that would make 44 of what we have.
In what? In the river?
In terms, no, affordable housing, but we have 40 units, and there's 4 of it on the gap, so that's a total of 44, and there are other ones too
Right.
that come in, so.
Okay,
Right.
so if you want a copy of the update, the updates on.
The updates on the website. So if you go to the Housing Commission's page, on the left-hand side, there's a menu and it has the housing plan, which is linked to all of it has all of the information, and the last thing I uploaded the update.
Is that on the town website?
Mhm.
Or
You want to
under commissions? Is
I
that
can
like-
Under housing
show you
committee,
what
yeah.
it looks
Boards and
like real quick. So if you go to the town website.
Are we on the town website? Bill?
Oh, you're not part of the government.
Yeah,
We're not part of
Oh,
town
yeah,
government.
okay.
but you are because,
There's a link.
hold it, yeah, there's a link.
There's a
So if you go to the Housing Commission,
Okay. I see.
Okay, so this is our page, and over here, this under affordable housing plan, if you click on that, then all the public forums, the actual plan, like all of the work, and then here I posted the update. And so it's a link that will bring you right to the update. All right,
That's great, Michelle.
just Linda, so you can see right here under the Washington Community Housing Trust is also listed right here. And if you click on it, it brings you to this page, it brings you to the website. Well, here's, and this brings you to the website. So that's just a static information.
Does that?
Yours,
Anne Marie set that up.
Mhm. and she maintains it,
Yeah.
changes on occasion.
Great.
Will you put the regs up there?
I put them right here. Yeah, if I had them.
Housing reg.
Yep, I just put, new multifamily beds and just post them there until they're on the zoning page.
I wonder if there's a local or a Western Connecticut, developers or, builders
Association that should be
that-
alerted to
that
us.
Send it to them.
Yes, I was thinking about
I have
that.
People who might come in and do it.
Right,
The newspapers are nice, but the average, the New Milford Times just doesn't have isn't gonna be doing construction.
Right.
Yeah.
There is an association for the state. There's one for the state. I'm researching everything you say, so just keep mentioning things. I'll put them in memos. So I do see if it's a good idea. I see Home Builders Association
Yeah,
for CT. I don't see one for Western, not yet.
well, yeah,
Yeah, no, because it's the developers that we want to get that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
get that
yeah.
information.
okay.
So it's with Sarah, with those press releases though, I have a online subscription to the News Times, and they're
Yeah.
continuously reporting about Brookfield, Newtown, Danbury. They have lots of affordable housing projects that get
Yeah.
approved, don't get approved, go into, stuff. So, if we could get in that paper, I think there are developers that are clued into that market because they're working in Brookfield and Newtown.
I
and
drove
Danbury.
through Brookfield the other day. I hadn't been through there in years. We used to always drive through it when we came up. And it is a changed center. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there are 10-story buildings. Attractive. It's
Oh, yeah.
all very attractive, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's what we want down on the Main Street.
Well-
Nor do we have the land to do it on?
Well, and our zoning regs wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting historical perspective on that is, why did Washington, this is now going back, 50 some odd years, and when I came back from law school. So there was a lot of development to the south. Washington is located, it was just too far from Danbury, Waterbury. It was just, there had to be a fill in, around the city. Waterbury, Middlebury, there's lots of stuff coming up now from Danbury. Washington is just, it's too much longer to commute to work. I mean, there just aren't a lot of jobs here. So people want to live near where they work. So Washington so that was how it kept its rural character, was that, that it was just too expensive to develop. And then what completely killed it was when they changed the zoning regulations in 1978. So you had Revere Road was the last real subdivision in town that school teachers and people could afford. And that was in 1977. And so when they changed the regulations in 1978, I was the town attorney back then, and H&H Homes that developed that from the Milford they came in, I had to work with them on a bunch of stuff having to do with building the road and stuff. And they said, Bill, we'll never come back to this town again with that zoning regulation. And that was the end of the developer coming to Washington and doing a subdivision. There have been no subdivisions of that kind since 1978.
Because they were so restrictive?
Yeah, and it still will be that way, because as long as you have the soil-based zoning, the developer, it's about making money.
Right.
And they can go to Brookfield, anywhere, Bethel, and they don't have to deal with this complicated, zoning regulation. So you're never gonna get that.
Well, we might get
development
some.
You see there.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
But we're hoping to get some.
Well, what will happen is that the nonprofit side will do it, and then you'll get a developer will come in here now that can make big bucks. They're not gonna build the kind of housing that we want for
Right.
regular people. They'll build, the big expensive condominiums that go for $1 million, $2
You think so?
million,
Yeah,
$3 million.
maybe.
And that's a developer can't afford the prices for land.
That's what they were planning to do at Wickham, right?
Yeah. And I think eventually what will happen with Wickham, you'll see they advertise in one place condominiums. And so that means that eventually, the new multifamily regulation.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the owner of the place now is gonna have to bite the bullet and not get the money that they think for it.
Okay, we also have to come up with a budget so that I can present that, for next year, because we're starting.
We're here with our hands open.
I know, okay.
So I guess that's how much and what sort of.
Okay, yeah, so just, like what is we had $1,000. I have no idea. I guess that's fine, right?
I think it's fine. Yeah.
And then there's membership in education and consulting. Of course, education, I don't know whether it's education of us or education of the public, but we have $2,000 there. And we have $3,000, this is this year, for printing and mailing. And then we have $250 for miscellaneous. That's this year's budget. This is minor stuff. I would like to propose that at least we double that printing and mailing so that we can help support the newsletter.
Yes.
I don't know
Thank
how
you.
anybody else feels about that.
Here, here.
Okay,
I agree. It is about, Ted tried to come, he can't stop by my office, but I was in a meeting. But he was talking about an 8-page newsletter, and that, my experience is that'll be around $3,500, give or take, but postage and printing. So he also wanted to do that quarterly, which I think is a little ambitious, and I think the first one could possibly be 8 pages. And then after that, maybe 4 page, smaller, which would be less printing. It's the printing that's much more expensive than the mailing. But we use that line item. We haven't used it a lot, but that's where whenever we print brochures for the, whether it's the down payment assistance program to go to realtors, or it's, about what we do, or posters for events, that's the line item that we use for our own sort of materials. Not that we've done tons, but if we wipe it all out with newsletter, I just want to be mindful of that.
so then, should we ask for 7,500? I mean, we can justify it, we'll tell them what
Yes.
we're applying for, and they can say no.
One of the things too is that, with the abatement ordinance that passed, that's going to generate about $34,000 a year.
For you guys.
Right, which is to be used, the provision is it has to be used for, things in the buildings, fixing them up, rent, subsidies them. But that could possibly free up a little more money that we have that we could actually contribute. We could participate in some of the money that's needed to do the newsletter. That's something we'll discuss tomorrow.
Okay, so, well, the members of this commission, what are your thoughts about the amount that we should ask for? I initially said 6,000, should it be more or less, or?
So in addition to the newsletter, what else do we use it for? When you're saying brochures, were you saying for your office or for the housing commission? And
Oh, housing commission.
Housing.
Oh, no, only for housing. So down payment assistance, which I need to update. It's got the old income levels on it. We did a brochure that was actually really about the trust, but we had it at our table so that people could either donate or knew about how to donate land. I printed up copies of that housing plan that we handed out at various events. I used that to make the tablecloth that, the building it together, or any banner or poster that we have printed. I was actually just thinking about this the other day. When we went to the, whatever they called it, it's not a symposium, but the Northwest corner.
Right.
And I forget, I think it was the Salisbury Housing Trust had that storyboard
Oh, right. And we
thing.
wanted
We
to-
wanted to do something like that. We could take with us.
so I think we would need more, because every time we have an event, everything changes. Like even like working on this on the update, like
It's changed since November. I was like, oh, you've done more since then.
Exactly.
I think in terms of, the big thing, obviously, I think like 7% of the town budget is the school, right? So if you can check the October 1st ADM to see, where, are we going to have a fluctuation in terms of the, in more Washington students that's gonna raise the budget? I mean, if it's gonna stay pretty stable, then I think it's gonna be easier to ask for more money, usually, that changes, then finances.
Yeah, and they usually meet, I just was looking at the October ones today.
What does it look like?
I don't remember what last year's was though, so I can't remember. I was adding it all. I mean, we don't count the agri-science and it's because
Yeah.
we tuition in a lot of students. I was looking to just see how our homegrown student count was
Yeah,
looking.
because that could influence, I mean, maybe if that's stable. it's
Well,
gonna be a lot
what I
easier to
would-
ask.
What I would do is, as the commission, because this is the commission's total budget at the moment is 6,200.
How much did we spend last year?
5,000,
Well, we didn't, the secretary, unless they paid you, did they pay you? Oh, we paid
Carrie.
Carrie a little bit.
a little bit, and we did some printing and stuff. That's to date. I'm trying to figure out what she's got here. And it doesn't, I'm not sure exactly. I'm not sure. But I think I would go ahead and for the budget request, ask for what you feel you need. Ask for the newsletter. I mean, it's not a lot of money and they can know if they say no, they say no. The big ask is the housing fund, that the capital into the fund, that's the big one. And you have yet to discuss that. I wouldn't nickel and I wouldn't worry about the operating as much.
Right.
If you can justify it, this is our,
One of the goals was to do more marketing and whatnot. So I mean, that ties into the goal.
Yes,
So, I would ask for more.
okay, so what's your thought? I mean,
Shoot for
6, 7?
Shoot for 10,000.
$10,000.
I don't ask for 10, such a nice number.
That's a round number.
Round number.
I mean, I'm looking at a paid newsletter.
I can vouch that I met with Ted about a month ago before we went away, and we have dreamt up the first 8 pages. His calculation was a little less than
Oh, he said
3,500
2,000, I think.
for
Didn't he
that.
say 2,000? Per,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that was a real early guess.
yeah, yeah,
And I think that's why he wanted to get together with Dana because Dana had been publishing for 12 years, so he knows printing costs, he knows layout costs and everything else.
well,
So,
and I did with the sustainability committee an 8-page Earth Day newsletter last year, and the printing was 3,200.
yeah, I would go with it.
And the mailing is 500.
Right. And if he wants to do full time.
And Michelle, that was the kind that goes to everybody?
Yeah.
All mailing addresses in Washington.
Yep, postal patron.
I would go with the big number.
okay, 10,000, okay. We'll keep the other figures the same.
Or you go with $9.99, that sounds good.
Or go for 10 and they can knock you down to 8.5 and you still have.
Yeah,
The other thing I wanted to mention, because it kind of fits in here, I was going to mention it later, but because under membership, education, and consulting,
Yeah.
consulting is where any kind of legal fees or other contracts come from.
Mhm.
And we also have a contract with the Housing Development Fund for vetting people for the down payment assistance program, and it's $500 each time we process one of those. And there's lawyers' fees for doing the second mortgage and all of that stuff. We just didn't happen to have one this year, but that's what that is intended for. And I spoke with the Housing Development Fund just today because we have those 4 houses on my field that were before Habitat that don't have an affordability administrator, and the trust doesn't want to do it. And the Housing Development Fund will do that. And they contract to do that. So they're going to put together a contract for the town of Washington.
okay, so what is it gonna do? What do they, tell me exactly what they're gonna do.
They would vet potential buyers
Okay,
for the 4 homes.
Qualify them.
Yes, they
You
vet,
qualify
to make sure
them, okay.
they meet the affordability requirements for restrictions on those 4 houses. 2 are at 80%, and now they have owners in them. They're the original owners. They've never turned over. But if somebody were to want to sell their house, at the moment, we don't have anybody to oversee that. So the Housing Development Fund said they would. We have to have them do a contract. I have to talk to the town lawyer. We have to figure out some other stuff. But that's where that consulting, that's what that line item is.
so Habitat would not be
They
overseen
said
that.
they do
They
not
want
want to do that either.
So
Because
that's coming out of the housing commission.
Well, that's a proposal. I mean, we don't have to, but we're in a little bit of a conundrum. So I would
And it ends up, because in New Smyrna, I had 118 houses exactly like that. And I did that. That was one of my jobs.
Okay,
And I'm doing that now for the 3 units that we have, and I'll do it for the next one. But, you know, when I'm out of here, for whatever reason, then probably the housing trust will negotiate with them to do the same thing. But you've got to, you know, do the application, you've got to vet them, get their tax returns, they've got to do the counseling. You know, so it's.
okay, so what would be the cost of that? That's what,
I don't have a proposal.
and
but
do we as a commission need to vote on whether or not we want to take that on?
Possibly.
So maybe
So-
we'll discuss it next month?
I have
More
to
information-
get
more
information from the lawyer. I've been trying to figure out, I've talked to Bill about this a couple times.
Yes,
These 4 houses are just sort of.
Yeah, and so what happens is you have, so, you know, when one of our houses is exactly the same as these and the ones at Vincent Park, you've got to have a lawyer you have to assign the ground lease, do all the vetting, so there's work involved in it. And
Right.
What we did was we charged on the transfer of every house, I did all the legal work, but we charged like $1,000 that the seller had to pay for, you know, the work that we had to do to see the transfer of the ground lease and all the.
Well, what are we doing this for? What units do we?
So,
This will be for all the ones that they get, because what happened is, when you do an 830G application, you have to establish that you have someone in charge who knows how to do all this. And for some reason, they let it go through the,
no, they're in there, that it's Snyder or something, they're out of business.
Yeah,
They
well, yeah.
dissolved in 2011.
right, you know, Joe Gitterman and Winston Folks, they were supposed to hire someone to do that. And they just look through the cracks, so that there has to be someone that's in place, and what happens is, it doesn't come into play until you actually one of the persons goes to sell the property. That's,
So, I'm just trying to find out what properties are we talking about?
these are the 4 original houses, not the ones that Habitat's done, but when they did.
But are they your properties?
No,
No.
this was, Winston and Joe did a 13 unit, they got approval for 13 units, so 30% of them have to be affordable. So 4 of the units have to be affordable, and under 830G, half of them have to be at 60% of AMI, half of them at 80%. So when those are sold, the 4 units, they have to make sure that the person that buys them meets those expectations, that they don't earn more than 60% of AMI for 2, 80% for the other 2. But as Michelle said, there's no one there to do it, because they dropped, well, it's a.
I just reread the contract when it was transferred to Habitat to see if some, you know, it was mentioned that they should be.
Yeah,
Who owns the underlying property though? Who owns the lease?
So there's a ground lease, they have a ground lease.
Who owns the ground lease?
Well, the developer, I guess, you know, they've got,
I think the whole thing was transferred to Habitat, but
yeah, I don't think after they
the,
I'm just trying to figure out how we end up being responsible.
I
I don't know that,
That's a good question.
I don't know that we are, but at the moment, until I get the town lawyer to review it all, nobody is, and therefore.
but the problem is that the original developers, but you know,
Someone owns the ground lease.
yeah, so.
So whoever owns the
Well,
ground
there's
lease.
homeowners association,
So homeowners association has that, so
because I don't think Habitat
no,
actually does.
no, so and I'm not sure what the deal was when they transferred it to Habitat. You know, whether Habitat, I assume that they put in there that Habitat would, you know, pick up the responsibility.
But I
It
asked
sounds
them,
like
they said no.
They're gonna be legal fees, but it's not like.
The only reason I brought it up now is because we're talking about I know, I didn't mean to open up a can of worms, but when talking to the Board of Finance about this, you know, we have $2,000 here for membership, education, and consulting, and in the past, consulting has been used for lawyers' fees. We used, I think it came out of there when we had the town lawyer review the ordinance.
Yeah, so what should happen with this is you're gonna turn this over to whoever this group is, right, you're gonna hire them. But what will happen is when they go to do the work, to see the transfer, that's gonna get charged back to the seller, so you shouldn't have to pay anything for that. That should come directly from the seller. That's the cost of, you
I
know.
guess,
No, well, that's the way it works
I
for the
would see that,
180
yeah.
single family homes that we did, was they had to pay for our legal expenses and, you know, vetting for that.
But it just seems to me that until there's some resolution as to who's responsible to clean this up, basically, and to figure out who the ownership is and who has to do it, I don't see us allocating any money to it.
No.
I mean, I think this is a town issue that has to be
right,
cleaned up.
it's the legal fees to clean it up, but come from this fund,
Come from our fund?
from our consulting, housing consulting.
Why does it come from our fund?
That's a good question.
The way it should work is that you're gonna get this, you're gonna make these people responsible for vetting the transfers of these properties. And they're not gonna incur any expenses until, I mean, there may be some startup things to set up the books and everything. But the actual cost of them handling that, you know, is there, and again, I assume they have a lawyer or they don't, but the seller is going to pay for it, because
Right,
you're
and
going to.
so- and
take
it's
that-
not triggered until one of these houses
Right, and then the
sells.
seller's gonna
Figuring
pay,
this
the seller's
out.
gonna pay whoever that
Right.
responsible administrator
I
is for
guess.
it, so the town's not paying for it. I think that should be on the record, the town's not
Yeah,
responsible.
but what I'm saying is that no one really knows what's going on here. And someone needs to be able to, with clarity, explain what the situation is.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the-
The
Can someone-
town
can-
lawyer is going to help me sort this out, and his fee will come from this fund. Just
Why-
zoning has a legal fund, wetlands has a legal fund, and housing has.
Now I'm beginning to understand.
Okay,
Okay,
like,
so-
I don't
So
want you to stress about it. We
just
have
saying
it.
that we need to have money to pay a lawyer to clear up this issue?
Yes,
Right.
and any other issues that we have, like when one of the down payment assistance, when that happens, there are legal fees and it comes from this line. So I just want you to understand that,
So how much do we need to
so
have?
there's 2,000 in there, that's probably adequate, but we shouldn't cut that and we need to justify it to the Board of Selectmen when we ask for the budget, right?
And the way that works,
construction involved in the development of those homes? During, like, years
I don't
ago?
know, maybe.
Because I guess my question is why then is it's coming out of the housing commission legal fees? If they weren't involved
let me
in.
explain more how this works. Is these people should be paying rent. There's a ground lease, okay? They don't own the land. So on our properties, they pay a ground lease. We charge $55 a month. All right, and that, and to keep it affordable, we just use that to pay the liability insurance we have. What they do is they're gonna pay in, because.
Who's
when I
they?
do
Who
all
are you
the-
talking about they?
So what happens?
The
on-
owner, the people
Yes.
who are living there?
Right, so what they should be doing is, they should be charging these people money, because the people that are going to administer the affordable regulations are going to have to pay to do stuff, and they're going to get the money, a lot of it, on each transaction, but they should also be building up a fund to, for what the work that they have to do in advance. On our property, I do it all for free, so we're not charging anybody for my services. So, I mean, when I can't do this anymore, then the ground lease rent's gonna have to go up, because we're gonna have to hire a company like them to do that. So what should be happening is there should be money, there should be a rent that's going to somebody, for this. I mean, it's maybe
There's a
developed.
homeowners association.
I have it, Michelle.
haven't researched what those dues go
Yeah,
to.
I mean, I don't know what happened. when they
Michelle,
transferred
have a look at
Habitat.
chat. Have a look at chat. I just uploaded Habitat's explanation for this. I feel like it clarifies what you're all asking, but you tell me. Please look down below all the links.
So the way this development is, like Bill said, it was 13 houses approved. 4 of them are capital A affordable because they used 8-30G. They were built way before Habitat was even involved. All right, and those deeds are on file with the town clerk. They have nothing to do with Habitat and they don't follow Habitat's model.
Oh.
The whole project was transferred to Habitat. And I have a copy of that.
Including those 4?
Well, they're all part of the homeowners, so it's.
Yeah,
It's a condominium,
it's
and so there's a homeowners.
It's a little
association.
confusing, and Habitat has now been selling houses. They follow a different format. They underwrite a second mortgage. They're following the income limit, so we get to count them as affordable, but they are not in perpetuity. And those houses can go to market after
Market sale.
after they've gone through their 11 to 15 years of the second mortgage. Their Habitat has a right to buy back, depending on how far, with each year that second mortgage is paid down. Is it relevant? I guess it's right. Anyway, it's a different model. They have assumed responsibility for those 8 homes. But the first original 4 are just a little unclear. And I've talked to Habitat and they have said it is not their responsibility to vet. And if you go to the affordability plan, it says if this isn't followed, there's a zoning fine or something, right? So I'm just trying to make sure that we don't accidentally lose one of our 4 affordable homes to a market sale, right? So we'll get to the bottom of it. I will keep you posted. Don't worry. We're not gonna have answers for,
No one's selling their house this week. They just
no,
moved in.
somebody asked about it and the realtor came to me and said, I don't know how to do this. And I said, I don't know how to do this. And so it opened up the question and I've been trying to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, so it's just for those 4 that used 830G.
Yes. Not Habitat.
So we will have more information.
I will bring more
when we can-
information. I just wanted to
But-
let you know there are occasionally legal fees.
Okay, all right.
I guess I should have just said that. Sorry.
Well, just remember.
Well, it's a good conversation.
I mean,
It
remember
is.
that when these homes are transferred, the seller of the home will pick up all the costs of the administrator to transfer the ground lease, do the vetting, all the rest of it. Your commission won't have to pay for that.
But maybe we need to pay the legal fees to figure it out.
Yes, the problem is that the people that set this up should have had an administrator, I don't know who they had someone that they to get zoning approval, they had to have someone who was qualified to do this. And then clearly the person who was
They went out
qualified
of
to do it
business.
is out of here.
They're done.
So, Michelle, film at 11, okay?
Right.
We'll see what happens.
I'll keep you posted.
Okay. So, the big, portion of our budget this year, we were given 150,000 and then also another 100,000. It was 150,000 was put in the budget and then another 100,000 from the sale of a piece of property was given to the housing fund. Okay, so that was pretty significant.
Did they say don't make a habit out of it, or?
Not
No.
really,
Like-
not really,
I
not
think,
really.
There's two things, in a way of looking at it, is what's gonna be politically acceptable to the legislative body of the town.
Right.
The town meeting, and I think if Michelle can find out what the ADM, the October 1 ADM is, we're gonna know that that's where the big budget increase could be for the town. And so if that turns out that it's pretty much, level, then there's gonna be a lot of money available in the town for other things. And then,
What's wrong with just asking?
Asking for what we need.
Yeah, I
for
think-
what we want?
I would
which is-
ask for whatever you got last year.
So that's not any reason. This is what we got last year, but we're not asking for any more.
And then Judy, what's gonna happen is, with the Wickham property is, the maximum amount of money we're gonna be able to get from the Department of Housing is about $2.6 million. And it's gonna take considerably more than that to do what we want. So the town gave us $250,000 towards the construction of it, and they gave us a 30-year tax abatement. So, clearly, when we come up with a plan collectively to develop this, we get a number on it, we're gonna come back to town and say, we need more money than $200,000 to do it. So then, the town, this is the the town on this.
So,
We initially requested
What was it?
ADM, AMD.
So, so the state requires on October 1st that the school system has to come up with this regional, right, and that's going to impact the budget. I mean, it's not bringing something else.
For strategy for the housing commission, I think you should ask for what you feel you need. I do think though, you will need to justify, last year we talked about the pre-development of that property. And I remember back like a year ago when we were talking about, Chris Charles was talking about what would it cost to build the goal company and let the town know what that is. And it just starts, putting money aside. So I just
Why don't
did
we
the
ask
math.
our partner? I mean, you're the only reason to spend money.
Yeah, so to build like, let's say 13, 14, 1,500 square foot house is, without paying for the land, it's gonna cost you about $450,000 now. I mean, back when we did the Vincent
What did
Farm,
it cost you?
yeah, that was gonna cost us to build.
Okay.
So then it's a question of, so on this Baldwin Hill one, we're getting a $200,000. So we can sell that house for $250,000. So that's gonna wash. $200,000 grant, the buyer gives us $250,000. So if we do single family homes at Wickham, you're bringing equity into the property. In other words, the people are buying the homes, they're not paying what it actually costs to build. If we do multifamily, there's no equity coming in. It's all gotta be funded through grants or donations.
Yeah, but from our perspective, right?
Right,
Basically, we're here to sort of do the pre-funding for you.
right.
That's what we're doing. And I don't know how many projects you've got. Wickham is could be a big project.
Yeah,
And then you've got a couple of other projects that are in the works.
we're not That's
That's what I'm trying to get at. Is so based on the projects that we're talking about now, what is the pre-development cost that you think you would come to us for?
Yeah, which we put in, I think, at 350.
Right.
So try-
Which the town gave you. So, the question's going to be, when we come up with a plan for Wickham, is it going to be all single family? Is it going to be some single family and some multifamily, or all multifamily? And then that's going to determine how much money, because if it's all multifamily, it's going to have to be funded entirely.
What more would we be required or requested to fund, is all I'm asking. I'm not worried about the equity or anything else that
Right.
you're gonna need to build at the loans. What I'm asking is, what are our typical requests gonna be?
Yeah, and here's the problem, Charlie, is that we're not far enough along with
To know
the
exactly.
feasibility study to know, based on the residential density, which again, this gets into the confusing, soil-based zoning, based on residential density, that property can have 8 units, right? Based on that zoning regs. But when you take it into multifamily regulation or, it's sort of like, we don't really know how much money we're going to need to fund because we don't have a plan yet. So I
Will the
think,
feasibility study be done in time to give us some indication?
Yeah, well, so I mean, the budget.
Unfortunately, I need to meet in this month.
I mean, I think what I would do would be to put in for the same amount of money that you got last year, 200,000, and then, if we need additional money, once the thing's done, we can go back to.
All right.
So the new multifamily regs, allow 20 units on at max on a town road. You could use 830G to go beyond that, but there's politics involved.
Right,
If you did the 20 max of single family homes times the 200,000 that was the grant, that's $4 million, right? And
Right.
Bill just told us that the state will not give us more than 2.6. So that's
the last.
That's a
number.
balance of $2.4 million to between state grants and other funding to build 20, which would be the max. So just for ballpark.
And that's all single family homes.
A single family
Not-
and multifamily, maybe more,
Right.
maybe less. If it's multifamily, there's no buy-in from that. There's a lot of numbers that we don't know, but going into the selectmen in a week or two, the minimum needed to build out this project is
About 2.5 million.
well, the balance of the 4 million after the state, assuming you get it and all of that. What I would suggest to them, and this is how they like to budget, is that you ask for the 250 like you had last year. So they can start putting it away, because they're not gonna be ready to ask for that 2.5 million for 4, 5, 6 years as they go through development and go through the state and the grant process and all of that.
Right.
But they like to put it aside ahead. They've been saving for a fire truck for 15 years. They put $200,000 because this thing is millions of dollars, right? They like to save money. That's actually what's going on with that yet.
And that's what I would
Okay,
do,
so-
at least keep it at the level it was at the last year, so you're building up research.
What,
Did they ask for more than that last year?
we requested 350. They gave us, in the budget was 150
Plus
plus.
the 332 that's there now, that's already been sort of committed to some of the pre.
We
Yeah.
got 350 based on the pre-development
Right.
costs. It was very, specific for that, knowing that if that didn't come to fruition, it would be sitting there for other housing needs.
And it's just the timing on this and stuff, because we don't have, I mean, if we could come in and say, look, we did a feasibility
Right.
study, we've all worked together, came up with a plan, X amount of multifamily for, single family, here's what we need, then, but, I mean, you can't go to a town meeting and say, we want $2 million, and it's like, for what? I mean, you gotta have a plan, so.
Well,
That's the.
I just would feel a lot more comfortable if I had a better idea of what the typical expenses are that you would come to us for.
So what we're gonna, what
If
will
we
be,
could have a list, if I could have a list of that, that said, okay, these are the things that we would come to you for. I know you can't put a dollar amount to it,
Right.
but I don't even know exactly, I mean, I know what we've spent,
right,
but I don't know what else is coming and for what reason.
yeah, I mean, the issue is gonna be is what type of housing are we going to do there, and then what are the site costs gonna be, because probably.
Right, but if there was a way for me to just.
Building, it's gonna be building costs.
Right.
We've got enough now to get them ready for grant. We've got all the pre-development is
Right.
already earmarked for that.
Yeah, we
So now
got
it's
that money,
just-
Charlie, so, and once we've
build it.
done the pre-development, and we know how many units, is it gonna have to be a town road to go in to access it, then we can come back and say, here's the budget for this, we're going to the state, asking them for X amount of money.
How much
and
can we
then-
come up with? Is that,
Right, so what we did with the Vincent Farm was, we applied for a grant we got 480,000. But they wouldn't give us the money unless the town had skin in the game, so the town gave us 70,000 to supplement that, and then the state said, okay, we'll give you the grant. So any grant we get from the state for doing all this, it's going to require the town to be, a partner in it. to a degree.
we do the same thing at the land trust. We,
Yeah, right,
where we get all the funding and everything else put together, and then there are holes.
Yeah.
And then we go to people like the housing commission to try to fill those holes.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay.
This whole discussion could be really condensed. Woody, a wonderful article for your newsletter, because, if it's written out, you can see the flow and where the money comes out of the town budget early, and then we're building on it, because the more we can get people into our side and how valuable this is and important it is, we have to educate.
Yeah.
Because they just, these houses go up and they have no idea. And the Vincent Farm, we could use as an example, and just step one, this is how we did it, and where the money comes in. Someone who understands it, can try to put something together that's brief, but that tells the story.
Yeah, and private fundraising will be part of it. I mean, on
Right.
all the projects we did, I donated the land for the senior housing. That was on $100,000.
Right.
So we got to find people who will contribute money. We already have the 30 acres very generously given, but we're
Yep.
going to need private money.
To build.
In addition to what the town does and whatever other housing grants we can get.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working on.
Okay, so 250,000, I'm gonna request, or 350. Going once, going twice, 350.
I don't know if you're all Monty Python fans, but there's a great scene in the bazaar where the hero is trying to escape the Romans and he picks this thing up, which is a fake beard. He says, "How much for this?" And the guy says, "No, you're not supposed to ask it." And they start to haggle. He says, "You gotta haggle. You gotta haggle with me." And everything. That's the way you go in. Pretend it's a bazaar.
Okay.
Because it is bizarre.
It's a bizarre.
Well, and I think, I mean, I've been very encouraged on how the last couple of years, how the town, the legislative body and the Board
The
of Finance,
Board of Selectmen have been very
recognized,
supportive.
you know, that there's, the first affordable housing plan was in 2002, which I participated in. And we came up with 90 houses in 10 years. And so that was 2002. So by 2012, the town was supposed to have created 90 houses. Well, they created none. So now we have, and thank Michelle for spearheading this, but we have this wonderful plan for 30 units of housing by 2027, right?
Mhm.
So
We're gonna work for it.
It's aspirational, just like, the Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal. We're still working on it, but, hopefully we'll get to 30.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'm gonna ask for 350, and I'm gonna give all the reasons why we need it, and we need to support, the housing plan and all that stuff.
To the selectmen's meetings and to the Board of Finance to support what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because-
Yeah, the
Well,
whole
we do.
budget process, we'll, once that's mapped out, we'll let everybody know,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
because we did that last time too,
Okay.
and it was helpful.
Yeah, and I'm very optimistic about.
I
where
was really
everybody in
pleased
town
with the Board of Finance being so supportive.
Yeah,
You know.
so I think we're on a good
Yeah.
path.
Okay, so is there anything else that anybody else, okay, Michelle?
It's small,
Oh, yeah.
I promise.
The last one wasn't so
I-
small.
So Habitat is, they're gonna have another home dedication. They have 3 new homeowners, which is so exciting. March 27th from 5 to 7 at the White Horse, and I will keep you posted on.
At the White House.
Here, they asked to do it here, but there's a Board of Selectmen meeting, and I tried to get them onto another date so we could do it here just like we did last time, with the slideshow and the table and everything. But they're gonna change it up, so we'll see. I'll keep you posted, but everyone will be invited.
And
And
this is when did you say?
March 27th, it's a Thursday, from 5 to 7. And they must have contacted the White Horse to get them to agree. So we'll see how much
Wow,
room we have to
that's
set up.
awesome.
Think of that separate room.
And the-
Yeah, and hopefully they'll let us set up our table
Yeah.
again. And if not, that's
And
fine too,
You
but
don't need it.
we'll be there if we can, yeah. And so it's exciting. I'm still trying to figure out which units those are, but they're up to 7 or 8 houses now since they took
Yeah,
them
I mean,
over.
the best building sites on that property are at the far end. I mean, you look up and down the Aspetuck Valley, and if you go there and look at that, you would wish that your condominium was right there because it's just, the views are stunning.
It's beautiful. Yeah, so they're plugging along.
That's great.
And again, just as a comment, I keep trying to figure out how,
We can include them. right?
well, yeah, because they are putting a lot of money into our community for these houses. The second mortgage on one of the last houses they did that they're holding is like $180,000 that they are just gifting into that property, right? So they are putting a lot of money in our community, and I would love to celebrate that and get them in some exposure for that.
There's an article in the newsletter
Mhm, yeah,
for Woody. I mean, that's Woody.
He's got it.
right? Yeah,
We should create the first Selectman's Medal of Honor. The way
That's a
we
good
do
idea.
it.
Or the Medal of Housestone.
Okay, so if there's no other business, can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Michelle,
right,
can you look at the
so-
chat?
I see it, and I'm pretty sure when I
Can you just copy
save-
the links?
So
That's all.
when because I saved the recording, and I think I
Thanks
can
for-
go into the
thanks for
Zoom
your
file
great
and put
questions,
that out,
Tom.
or add that
Yeah.
into the minutes somehow.
Okay,
No,
cool.
thanks.
Only if they're relevant, okay?
Yeah, no,
Hyperlinks
no,
are all
I-
developers.
I think that something, I will check it out, share. Okay.
Good night.